Hi, I'm Scott Williford, CEO and founder of vLink Solutions, and we have been having a wonderful conversation with Peter Barron of Carabiner Communications. And so Peter, when we broke away on the last segment, we were just diving into some of the things that small businesses and entrepreneurs need to be thinking about in their messaging and in their communication pieces. So tell us some of the things that you really feel like that these guys and these guys and gals need to be thinking about.
Yeah. So once we, for instance, have got them out of the mindset of thinking that what they have is the greatest thing known to man, and they're thinking about a competitive environment, they're also thinking about the customer and what would they need to hear, then of course the messaging needs to be developed. And it can't be long and labored. It needs to be very short and compelling, concise messaging. And that's not easy to do, but it is doable. It's a discipline. And once you've got that, then you have to think, well, how am I going to get this in front of my prospects? They're busy and they're bombarded by a lot of information all the time. How do I possibly break through? And so there's a part of what we do then that takes them through the discipline of finding out, well, what do they listen to? Who do they listen to from a word of mouth standpoint? Where do they go? Do they go to conferences and trade shows? Are they reading any trade magazines? Are they looking at TV shows? Are they watching blogs? And when they search for a solution, they don't know your company, for instance, but when they search for a like solution, are you going to come up?
Right.
So you optimized it all to be able to come up, and of course that brings up SEO, and then the whole organic part of the campaign. None of this can work overnight. So they're looking at trying to put something in place that's going to be at least 90 days to 120 days before it's really starting to pay off for them. But all of those considerations need to be.
Well, and from my experience, you know, having that consistent across multiple mediums and knowing your message, whether it's a sales guy or a presenter or your website or your press releases and all those things, they just need to be consistent. And now we've got all these new technologies that people are having to pay attention to.
Yeah, in fact, you'll start seeing, I think, from now on, maybe for the next 12 to 18 months before it becomes ubiquitous, this notion, the acronym is SO-LO-MO, which stands for social, location, and mobile.
SO-LO-MO.
Yeah, SO-LO-MO. Sounds like an Italian song, doesn't it?
SO-LO-MO.
Yeah, especially how you say it. But what we're talking about there, and as you integrate this into your marketing campaign, is I think everybody's familiar with social media right now, and to some extent,
it's a big buzz.
And it's frustrating for people that are in the business-to-business world, because they just think of LinkedIn and Twitter, and they're not sure how to use Facebook or whether they should. And there are ways to figure all of that out. But consider obviously social, but then you figure location. Many of the devices that we use, and this will be more true as we go forth. In fact, I heard a statistic that said that by 2020, there'll be 50 billion, with a B, connected devices.
Wow.
It means we're headed into a time and a world when everything will be connected. The toaster, the fridge, our car, our phones, our computers, our Bluetooth earpieces, everything will be connected. And so there'll be things that are developed to communicate to us, to interrupt our world, our flow.
Based on location.
Based on location.
Right.
And of course mobility is that we don't necessarily have to just find people now at home or at work. We can get them at the gym, the concert, in the car.
In the elevator.
In the elevator, absolutely. So those kinds of things, and there'll be technologies and platforms that are put in place to make that easier for small businesses to feed into a marketing campaign. But there is one thing I would say, I think, to give comfort to any marketer, is that the principles of communication are sort of unchanging. And there are a couple of things that you should bear in mind.
So we've only got a few seconds left. What are some of those key things that most people just, I mean, if there's a couple of little points that they need to remember?
I would say that to bear in mind that the best kind of communication is like we're having today. I'm saying things and getting instant feedback from you because I can read your body language and your impressions, and you say things back to me.
Right.
That's true communication. So when you devise a campaign, you need to think in terms of how can I get some feedback in that loop, so that I'm not just constantly pushing messages out there without that feedback loop. And the other is, how does this person prefer to receive the information, and be respectful of that. So you're not going to spam them,
Right.
which would alienate them, and you're going to find out that through the feedback loop. So include those two principles that don't change, regardless of the technology, in your planning and thinking.
That is great advice, one that I will take to heart. So, I'm Scott Williford, CEO of vLink Solutions. We've been having a great conversation with Peter Barron. And if you'd like to contact Peter and learn more about his business, his web address is right here on the screen. And Peter, I thank you again for your time today, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again and talk more about it. So,
thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, and look forward to talking to you soon.